Well, hi guys. Today I'm going to show you how to make a fun little macrame choker. We made a bracelet once, so I got myself some string and an assortment of beads, a pair of scissors, and some scotch tape. So gather up your stuff. This doesn't take very long. It's kind of like the bracelet. Yeah, let's get back together and let's make a fun little choker, okay? Get your stuff ready and I'll get my stuff ready. Let's get started. All right, now that we got all our stuff, I got you closer so that you can see what I'm doing, okay? So we've got our two strings. The first one, let's stop those beads from rolling around. The first one I cut at 36 inches. Which is our outside one. The other one I cut at 18 inches, okay? So what we're gonna do is I've got one bead here that I'm going to use as my bead to clasp this with. So the easiest way to do this is to get a piece of tape and you get both ends of your string, and I'm just gonna make it to where it's easier to go through this bead. So you put it right on the end and you roll that up real tight. And then you make the tape longer so that it'll actually fit through the whole bead. Okay, so I take one more little piece of tape because you want it longer than the length of the bead. And up here at the top, I'm going to close that off and add just a little bit more tape. While I'm turning this, making it come to a nice little point. Okay? Like that. Then we're going to take it and we're going to poke it through the end of the bead. You just want to spin it until it comes out the other side and you can reach it. You could also start with a bead with a bigger hole and not have to do all this. It just depends on your own taste. Everything doesn't always work the way you want it to the first time. So you just keep trying, right? And it worked that time. So I'm just gonna take my scissors and just cut that little bit off right there. Separate my strings. Now, what you're gonna wanna do is find the center of both strings. So, we're gonna hold on to that and we're gonna slide that down until this string matches. So I'm going to hold that one off to the side, and now we want this one to be the same length. So there we have our two long and our two short, and this will be the end. So what I'm going to do here is I am just going to make a tie to keep those strings in place. Okay? So just like tying your shoe, we're going to put one, and then we're going to put one more. You want this knot kind of centered in the center of the bead. And there we have the end of our choker. So, I'm going to go ahead and take this to the table so that it stays put. So I'm just going to tape that bead right down with a couple pieces of tape, and that's going to hold it in place for us while we're working on this piece, okay? Okay, so the first thing we're going to do here is make sure that our two long strings are on the outside and our two short strings are on the inside. First thing I'm going to do is make a figure 4. I'm going to bring this string up over that one. Then I'm going to go under the two in the middle, and then I'm going to go in this little hole. I am going to tape this down for a second, just so I can show you how to pull this tight. So then you get each end, and you slide that right on up here. And then I'm gonna do it the opposite direction, a backwards 4. Okay, so we're gonna do the backwards 4. We're going to bring this one on top. There we go. Then we're gonna go under these two and up through this hole. Then, see how it wants to go straight? That makes our first few little. So we repeat this process a couple times because you don't really want beads on the back of your neck in your choker. And you can leave a little space in between your 2 sets of knots. And it makes a pretty pattern that way. That's called macrameing. We can leave the tape on there until we're ready to add a bead. So I make that one tight. So now we have a knot and then a space, then a knot. So this next one will be a space. You go up through that X and you pull it. You want to make your spaces about the same. So we do it again on this side. You go up through the center under there. You can hear my bird making all kinds of silly noises. He's still in his cage this morning. He's decided not to let himself out yet. I just let him come out whenever he feels like it. And since I don't have any other pets in the house, he's pretty safe doing that. So, we've gotten 3 of those little things on there. We will make a knot on this one. Oops, I didn't quite get that as tight as I wanted. So that one's a little bit bigger, but that's okay, right? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna do one more over here. We're gonna take this up through here. One more little space. Because if you think about it, it's gonna be that many on each side, okay? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. This is number 5. Okay? And then we take this way, and this way, and we go right up through here. And we slide that up. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and take the tape off of this. Because now what we're gonna do is think about the pattern of our choker. So, like I said, I picked out a few beads. I want this one to be my center bead. And I've got these. And I think I'm gonna do 2 sets of those. And then I also have some little beads that I found. And I just want to see what it's going to look like. If I put one of these on each side, there's the same kind of bead. Not quite. Huh? You can play with different ideas. Maybe I'd have that one there and that one there. I don't really like the bigger beads, so I'm going to stick with these smaller beads. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put one of these little beads up onto this string. I'm going to use my tape trick again because the ends of this are really hard to get up through one of those beads. Maybe something with a little wider hole for this project would be better. You can use any kind of beads you want, really. You just want to make sure that it has big enough holes for these strings to go through. And rather than stress myself out, I'm going to get some different beads. Well, I got these cool wooden beads from my mom. And so I'm going to do it a little bit differently, okay? So we're still going to take these middle strings. I'm going to cut mine even again. They're not very even. And I am going to be thinking about what my necklace is going to look like. So I'm going to do it kind of like this. So you put one of your beads, still better to use the tape. I'm going to use half of this piece. So get your ends together and roll them kind of tightly as you can get it through the bead. Even with big beads, if you'd used a thinner string than what I'm doing, you wouldn't have this much problem. Okay, so we put that one on there. I'm going to go ahead and tape this back down. We're going to keep using that same piece of tape. So let's move my beads over. So now we're going to tie this one in just like we have been doing. Then over and under and up through the hole, holding both pieces tight. So now we take this and we do right up next to that bead, and that's going to hold it in place. Then we do our opposite 4. We pull that up through there and we pull each side tight, and that just made a knot and that anchored that bead. Okay, so now I just want a decorative spot. So we pull it to there. Now, when you first learn how to make them, it's hard to make them all exactly the same size. But once you start practicing a little bit, you can make each one of these spots the exact same size, pretty much by eyeballing it. Okay, now we're going to take our tape off of this end, set it here so we can use it again. We're going to get our next bead. So the next bead in that pattern is this one. We still have our tape on the end, so it's a lot easier to do each time. Go ahead and pull that up where it needs to be. Take our tape and put it back over the end so it holds this piece tight for you. We make our figure 4 the right direction, going up through the middle, and we tighten that bead in place. Then we make our backwards 4, going under these and up through this side. And you pull both strings. Now we want another decorative little spot. So we do 2 more without a bead on it. So there's 1, and there is 2. Okay, so now we peel this tape off again. We put our next bead on. So I want these, do I want them facing that way, or do I want them facing that way? I think I want them facing that way. So we put our next bead on. Okay, then we slide that bead right on there. And we go ahead and do our knots. Oops, you know what? Forgot to retape it. Okay, so there's 1. Then our anchor knot goes on this side. So that's 2. And then I'm going to peel the tape up again. We're going to put our center bead on there. This one I picked that looks kind of like reminds me of a honeycomb. But when you have trouble getting the string through, take a toothpick, go right in the center, and you can poke those right on in there. Okay, so let's tape that back up. Now we do the first knot. Then we do the second knot, always repeating the same pattern. Once you learn how to do this, then you can make lots of things with this same pattern. You can do bracelets, you can do necklaces, you can do chokers. You can even make a plant hanger that looks kind of like this. Now this one, it is hard to get through, so I am going to poke that through with that toothpick. Tape that back down. And we're going to go ahead and tie our knots. We are almost done with this necklace. And we do it this way. And when it's a little loose on you like that, I just hold it with my fingers so it keeps it tight, so it's not wiggling around on you like that. Now we're still following this pattern. So we put this bead on next. Go ahead and tape this back down. We make our knots. There's one. And we do the opposite direction. And that's our anchor knot. And that's 3. And then after this one, we went ahead and put a little space. So let's do the same thing over here. So there's 1. Pull it up about as far as you want it. And then do your anchor knot. Pull that tight, and that way it looks the same on each side. Then we're going to add this last bead. So I take the tape off again. Put the tape back on to hold it. We're going to do our couple knots. Always working in the same direction that you started in, okay? So there's 1. And there's our anchor knot. Okay, so we got all our beads on there. I went ahead and tied this. I tied a knot here, and then I cut the 2 small strings off, and I took the end and I turned it into a loop. That way, it will close like this. So that's it on this necklace. Let me go put it on and I'll show you what it looks like. And this is our pretty macrame beaded necklace. So I hope you had fun with this one. I had fun showing you. You can make them longer, you can make them shorter, you can make them where they stick up here. So have fun with this one. I miss you guys. I hope to see you again soon. I hope you enjoy my videos. Until next time, we'll see you then. Bye.